We are live on Facebook. What's up? Truth Bomb Tuesday. Shout out Truth Bomb kind of day. And this is so funny how this topic came up, because last night I was like, what shall we discuss tomorrow? And I was thinking about like my past and how I used to be such a pleaser, to the point where I would just bend and twist and put the mask on and just be what everybody needed me to be, at the expense of myself. And at some point during that journey, I heard this quote that you don't need anybody's permission, validation, or approval to just be you. And I was like, hold on. Wait, what? And then I picked up Rachel Hollis's Girl Stop Apologizing. The very next chapter was, you don't need permission. I was like, I guess that's what we should talk about. And I know I got the thumbs up. And Marcie, you've been journaling about this and you've got some thoughts. So I would love to hear from you first. What do you think about this topic? I love it.
All right. So I was literally driving around town today doing errands, and I could not get that thought out of my head. Like, as soon as you popped up with it, I'm like, oh my word, this is like seriously what I've struggled with the most, and, and I was thinking about it that, whenever we seek approval or permission or validation, that's a type of peer pressure, right? Like, we are literally trying to ask permission to do what we want to do. How ironic is that? How hypocritical is that? I want to do something, so let me make sure it's okay with so-and-so. Okay, when I started my health journey, guess what I did? Is it okay if I do this thing that's going to make me healthier?
That's
right?
Crazy. Is it okay if I do this thing that's going to make me healthier? What if somebody had told you no?
I wouldn't have done it.
Shut the front door. What would your life look like if somebody had told you, if you'd asked permission and somebody told you no and you had not done it? What would life look like right now for you?
6 feet under.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
So,
are you still asking permission?
Heck no. No one tells this girl what to do. Talking about, but this is the thing, is that even after I asked permission, because, even though my husband actually talked me into the health journey. Okay. He literally talked me into it because that's how far I was. And you guys know all this, but okay. So literally though, when we do that, we give our power away.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're no longer the dominant force. We're allowing situations and people and whatever it is in this world to dominate our choices, to dominate our thoughts, to dominate our decisions. And I'm just like, what kind of idiot does that? This one.
Girl, you are not an idiot.
It's an insecurity, though.
You just have a misunderstanding.
When we're asking permission from people, it's an insecurity inside of us that we're actually living out some victimhood.
That's it. Yeah.
Right?
You're not. I agree. You're not an idiot. That's more normal.
Oh, I know that. That's just
the beautiful journey that we've all been on. That's what's so cool, is that you can actually get to know yourself. And
that's been the best part of it, is learning who I really am underneath all those crazy emotional layers, all those things that I've heard growing up, all the things that I've told myself over and over. And even to this day, I still catch myself doing it because it's a bad habit.
Yeah, existing, like, asking permission to live your life is a bad habit for sure. And honestly, it's totally something that we get from childhood, right?
It is.
Because, like, while we're under the thumb of our parents, you have to ask permission. You have to, right? And you require permission, you require approval of them in order to gain some of that independence. So it's something that, like, we're just conditioned to do. But at some point we realize, like, fuck, I've been asking permission to just be me, and when I'm told no, I don't step into that, and that sucks. But, like, Megan, I've known you in our coaching community for what, like a year and a half now, and honestly, like, I don't get the sense that you were ever the kind of girl that asked permission. So I would like to hear what you're gonna say. I might have it totally wrong, but that was like one of my first impressions of you, and it's one of the things that I love the most about you, is that you just straight up are like, listen, this is how I roll, love it or leave it. That's it.
Go girl.
So it took a minute to get there. I was not always that person. So it takes a minute to get to a point where you're just like, this is it. This is who I am. I think, like what Marcie was saying, like, you have to ask permission, is mine would be for perfection. I'm a perfectionist. And so that's a hard struggle. And, but once you get past, like, it's okay not to be perfect. You give yourself permission, and then it's all bets are off. You can be who you want to be. You can reinvent yourself. And especially with our program, you can become someone, not become someone else, but you can imagine the person you want to be, set a goal, dream that person up, and you can become that freaking person. And that is what's amazing. That is what's really cool, is becoming a better version of yourself. So, but yeah, I do like to take no prisoners a little bit. So,
girl, me too. That's how I roll. And you know, like, there was a time in my life at which I was asking others permission. And I was seeking approval from others as to how I existed in this world. And what I found, number one, is it was freaking exhausting, because it was a constant conflict of who I actually am and who I was pretending to be for the comfort and convenience of somebody else. And that got to be pretty freaking exhausting. And I also remember the time in my life at which I decided, you know what? Like, I'm so freaking done with this. Like, I'm so done with it. I'm just going to be me. And the people in my life who are left standing at the end of me standing up for who I am are the people who are meant to be in my life. They're the people who are meant to be. Right, and the ones that aren't still standing at the end of this, like, I love you. I don't wish you any ill will, but like, deuces, right? And really, truly, I remember that time when it was empowering and scary all at the same time, because I was rocking boats. I mean, I had existed that way for over 30 years of my life. And all of a sudden, I was rocking boats, right? Rocking boats in the way I showed up in relationships, rocking boats because I was now setting boundaries and enforcing those boundaries.
Oh, I can go off on a tangent about that.
Oh, And I remember, it created a lot of discomfort. And it came to a point where I remember saying, look, I'm done pretending to be somebody that I'm not. I love you. And if you can't love me for who I am, then you're probably not supposed to be in my life. And it took a few of those conversations, and that was freaking hard. And Marcie, I know you got some stories about setting boundaries, because really, truly, that's what it comes down to. Like, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. You just crossed my line. Let's have a talk, right? That's what it takes to step into who you are.
Yep. It was not a fun process, because, you know, everything kind of went crazy in January, the end of the year, actually. End of the year, January. That's when my crazy 2020 started. That's how I had left 2019 with a bang, was family fallout. Because Marcie decided to stand up for who she was and put some healthy boundaries in place. So I was no longer A, the victim, B, the hero, C, the villain.
That's good.
I decided to step up, step out, declare my truth and who I was going to become, whether you like it or not. Take it or leave it. Love me or hate me. Don't care. Don't give up. You know, and if you can't accept that, and you can't accept the best version of me blooming up.
Sorry about you.
I'm sorry. You're going to miss out.
Amen. Sorry, you're going to miss out. Drop it. That's amazing.
And it caused a bunch of fireworks in the family, let me tell you. But you know what? That's on them. That's not me. That has nothing to do about me. That has everything to do about their view and their opinions and their thoughts of who they think I was. And truth bomb, ain't none of your thoughts.
I love that. Well, and that's part of it too, is like, I had to take ownership in the part I was playing, because people thought I was one person, because around them I portrayed to be that person, to like keep peace, right? And all of a sudden I was like, yeah, JK, that was a lie. It's gross. I'm done.
And that's the thing, is that, you know, you're so used to acting. I'm a professional actor. I was just telling you guys, I used to do puppeteering, and I used to be in dramas and everything else. And I'm like, I'm great at acting. And what the problem was, is because people were so used to me being an actor, that's who they thought I was. you know, but it wasn't because it was so falsified. They really thought that's who I was. And so then when the true self came out, they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know what box to put it in. They're just like, I don't like you. Go back to the actor. That version was better. And I'm like, but that
version made me more comfortable.
That's lying, Marcie. I'm lying to you when I'm acting.
Yeah. And Shanda, I've known you for about the same time as I've known Megan and Marcie. And you are just like the sweetest, kindest human. I just adore you. And I know that you resonate with this, like, you know, just being a specific version of yourself to kind of keep the peace. But I also know that you have also found some realizations about yourself throughout this health journey, haven't you?
Yeah, most definitely. The thing that when I'm listening to you ladies, it's actually, I'm so glad I got to hear everything that you said before I spoke, because what I was feeling today about this whole topic is it's something that I learned from a mentor 20 years ago that has helped me along the way so much. And it's such a simple thing, but it's what you guys are saying too, but what gets us into trouble when we're not able to be the same person, you know, if it's at home or work or wherever, that, you know, where we're not being authentic, our authentic selves, is when we don't know our values. And so I was challenged years ago when I had all this frustration welling up in me that, I was asked, can I give you some feedback? And I said, yeah, and the feedback was, you're not living your values. There's things that are important to you that you are not actually following through with. It had to do with family life and different things like that. And boy, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And it has helped me so much over the years to just realize when I start feeling that incongruency, when I start feeling, disingenuous, I'm like, what value am I not living up to? Why is this bothering me? What wakes me up at night? And I think that discovering who you are and just being on that journey of finding things out about yourself, just growing. I mean, I've been on this earth 50 years this year, and it's like, that is what really is going to help you to just not care what other people think, because you can just be yourself and just not be defensive. When people come at you with a different opinion, just growing in that, being healthier, just being more mature in your thoughts. But the main thing is knowing your motivation behind things. Because I think whenever we don't know where we're coming from and what we value and what's important to us, we can tend to shapeshift with different people we're with. And that's really not a way to live your life. It really does cause a lot of turmoil. And I know I have discovered some of that. And even like just this week, talking with you, Jessica, something came out of me that I was like, I need to figure that out. That's not something that I even knew where it came from, but I'm like, and I thought it was great because see, in our healthy community, this is the good part. And y'all all alluded to it too. We encourage one another and push one another towards like creating the life we want. And Jessica's like, girl, you got to be journaling that. You got to be checking in with your coach about that, and I love that because really that's where we're going to be our most authentic selves, our healthiest self, is when we're discovering
here.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
And just knowing your heart, just knowing where you're coming from and letting it translate into how you live your life and what comes out of your mouth, the decisions you make, the people you hang out with. Because, anytime you see someone, this is something I've discovered, anytime you see someone in your life or you bump into somebody that is just so, defensive and unhealthy in their thinking, they don't know their values. They don't know what's important to them because they're insecure. They're just bumping around.
Everybody else has run their life.
Yep. And so I think that's where it comes from. I think that's how we can just put in perspective, just, ditching everybody else's opinion to the curb, because we can be who we are when we actually know what we want, and that takes some discovery. It's not a one sit down at the desk with the notepad and figure it out. I mean, it really is a journey.
It's tough. It's an emotional journey. And I'm saying that with like every feeling of that word, like it's painful. It is painful to grow. And we talked a while back about how, you put compost in the garden, and we all know where the good compost comes from. And, that stuff's not fun to go through.
Yeah.
Grow through it.
It don't smell good either.
It don't smell good. You stinky. But the thing is like, okay, when I was going through all my crap earlier this year, and it was painful. It caused a lot of tears. It caused a lot of rifts It caused a lot of shifts. And my coach, I was talking to her through it. And she says, she said, there are 2 ways you can go with this. Life's happening around you, but you get to choose how you are going to react and respond to it. You're completely in control. How do you want to come out of this on the other end? How do you want to feel? How do you want to grow? What can you learn from this? What are you going to do differently? So it's ifs, what can you do? And I think that was really what changed my outlook as to, hey, life's happening. That's okay. What am I going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And that's really where that whole validation, seeking approval, asking permission to be who you are. It's such a hypocrisy. Stop doing it. Just stop.
Yeah, for real. For real. Megan, I know you said it took you some time to be the badass woman that you are. And I'm curious, what did that look like for you when you stopped asking permission and finally were like, this is me?
I think some of it comes from being around people who, not that they're indecisive or just kind of, they don't know. So someone needs to know. And it's just like, okay, I got this. Okay. And just assessing the situation. And sometimes you need to be that person too, that other people look up to. Not that you're doing it like, oh, look at me, but just that they're leaning on you, and then they start and they need you to lead them. So, and you become that friend. And I guess in a sense you do become a different person, not asking permission, but just because that's who people begin to rely on you, and they look for you because they know that she's going to call the shots. Okay. Ask her what to do. She'll know what to do. Or, hey, just see what she's doing or what she thinks, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does.
Well, kind of how I became a hero.
What's that?
That upbringing about, I have to go seek approval from other people. That's how hero coaches are born, because we're trying to get people to do the same thing, to come to us to save their day,
See, and what I heard Megan saying, I think of it as it depends on what your motivation is behind using that. That's why I say it's discovering, yourself, because if you use the fact that you're leading, even just your clients that you're coaching in their health, the people at work that you manage, if your motivation to be a better person and to be strong, stronger is to just do your best for them, well, that's fine. That's always a good place to be, and you can use that in your life. But I guess it's your motivation behind it. If you do it for other people, which that's not what it sounds like to me, what you're saying. You're not doing it. You're not like, oh, I'm being this because they need me to be it. You truly are growing in yourself. You can use that as a motivator. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I see that that's how you do it. Yeah. I don't think that's.
Yeah. What I got from that was that when you are secure in who you are, and when you are able to be confidently decisive, people automatically look to you because you are really living in this is me. This is my opinion. This is what I would do. And I'm not wavering in that because the masses have a different idea. Right. Yeah. And therefore.
That's what was in my head, but I just couldn't get it out. That's
what I took from that.
It's not because that's what they need me to be. It's just, that's who I am. Right. And then they come to rely on that, I guess. And it's more so friends than I would say clients. I would think, I don't know. Maybe the clients think that too. I don't know.
Well, I think it's true. There's a certain level of confidence that comes with just owning who you truly are, because what's true for you. And I love, Shanda, that you mentioned that living in your values is part of what creates that solid foundation of this is what I value and this is who I am. And it doesn't make me right. It doesn't make me wrong, but it makes me authentic. Right. And I love that we can flip that script, because for so long I was like, I freaking know who I am, but you don't know who you are. So let me tell you who you are. And I would kind of boss people in my life, right? I would be like, I can't stand your indecisiveness. Figure it out. Yeah. But in doing so, what I recognized is that I was really robbing them of the process of really truly living in their values. Because I'm like, if you don't know what your values are, these are my values, so you should just live in them. It'll make life easier, right?
Ooh.
I went
I
a
wouldn't
little
have
too
liked
far,
you for that. I'm
right?
like, I'm conforming.
Right. I ain't conforming, but you've gone and conform with me. So like I like flipped that and expected, I had unrealistic expectations of the people in my life. Yeah. And that was hard on my relationships too. And it is when I started exploring value, Shanda, that I gained that like more mature understanding of like, oh, well, they don't value that the way that I do.
Right.
Their actions show that their values are different. And this is where I get to lean into, I love me for me, and I love you for you. Yeah. And let's figure out how to coexist in our strengths, in our values, in our authenticity. And especially with my daughter, like that, my daughter and my husband, I think those are the two people that really have benefited from that, like, perspective shift. Because honestly, they were the ones that I tried to project my world on the most, and they were always failing. And I was like, I didn't realize that I was doing that, but like, having been on the other foot, like having people project their world on me and always trying to live up to that, it was exhausting. And I was like, oh, how weird how that's come like full circle. Let me just connect all those dots and pull on the reins a little bit.
That's what I relate to too, because 3 years ago, our marriage was on the brink. I didn't have a really great relationship with my kids at all. And I couldn't even form friendships, because the little friendships that I did have left, I shoved them away too. And I love what Megan said, that, it's like, it's kind of like a what's in it for me, right? I'm with them. And it's like, well, what's in it for me? What's in it for them? Well, they can't get the best of me unless I get the best of me. You can't pour love from an empty cup. And I sure can't get love if I'm seeking approval from other people.
Hey, and I just thought of something from what you said, Marcie, and I don't mean it to sound like it's just a truth that Jesus spoke in the Bible. I'm not trying to get all preachy, but he said, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
You have to love yourself before you can actually love other people. Otherwise,
how can you know what love is?
Yeah. And that's true. And that's the discovering who you are and your values.
Be hypocrite with love.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I wanted to share this little snippet out of Girl Stop Apologizing, because it just rings so true to this conversation. She said that, for the longest time growing up with her dad, like their whole life was about making dad happy. So she was always bending herself and compromising herself to make sure that dad wasn't inconvenienced and that dad was always comfortable. And she said, consequently, when I begin to understand that the entire purpose for my life wasn't to please someone else, I began to consider things that I hadn't before. Like, what if I could make decisions for myself? What if I stopped making every choice in my life about what would please others most? And what if sometimes I just did what I wanted to do? What if I stopped asking permission? And she said, what that looks like is when you put more value into your self-care than you put into whether or not somebody else will be inconvenienced by it. And I think that really, that's freaking powerful, because it just gives you permission to just be. And the fact is that other people may be inconvenienced, or other people may feel like you've rocked the boat by stepping into you. But it doesn't matter, because their level of inconvenience and their level of approval of you has nothing to do with you existing. And the truth is, it's like Marcie said, when you step into who it is that you fully are and you give yourself permission to just be you, the people around you get the best.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, at the end of the day, those that were not still standing when I went through my period of like really standing for who I was, those were the people that were meant to be by my side, and they loved me and they respected me and they supported me in that growth no matter what. And the ones that weren't, like, sorry about you.
Season's over.
Season's over. Exactly. So if you are looking for permission to be you, number one, you don't freaking need it. Amen. And number two, if you still think that you do after our conversation, let us four be the ones to give it to you. You have permission. You have permission from the person looking back at you in the mirror to be fully authentic, because the truth is when you are, and you start setting those boundaries and you start standing for what fills your cup, the truth is that everybody else in your world benefits. So go rock you, because you were made unique. You have unique gifts, and the world needs what you have to offer.
That's right.
That was a good one, you guys. That was so fun. All right.
I think we need to fist bump ourselves.
Right? Stop live stream.